Denver police officers shot a man after chasing him to Clement Park near Columbine High School today. 9 News Crime and Justice reporter Matt Jablow has been following the story since this morning. Joining us live, Matt, what can you tell us?
Alex, it all started around 11 o'clock this morning. That's when Denver police say they got a call about a man with a felony warrant carrying a gun in West Denver. Officers say when they arrived, they saw the man get into a car and drive away, so they started following him. Chief Ron Thomas says officers followed the suspect to the intersection of Bowles and Pierce in Littleton. According to Thomas, when officers tried stopping the suspect, he got out of his car with what appeared to be a gun in his hand and started running into Clement Park here in Littleton, with several officers right behind him.
Lethal force was used after attempts at non-lethal force were employed, which were ineffective essentially. Ultimately, lethal force was used. The party did go down. Officers attempted to render some medical aid.
The suspect, who has not yet been named, was taken to the hospital with what are believed to be non-life-threatening injuries. Police say they recovered his gun at the scene here in Littleton, but they are not saying yet if the suspect fired that gun at officers. Alex?
Okay, Matt, thanks for those details. Another mass shooting in our country. 4 people are dead, 9 others hurt after a shooter opened fire in a bank in Louisville, Kentucky. Police responded and exchanged gunfire with that shooter, and they killed him. NBC's Dan Shinneman is at the scene.
8:38 a.m. Active shooter at a bank in downtown Louisville.
This was terrifying. It was terrifying.
3 minutes after the call, officers were on the scene.
The suspect shot at officers. We then returned fire and stopped that threat. The suspect is deceased.
Also dead, 4 victims, at least 9 others injured. 2 officers among the casualties. Police say their quick action likely saved lives.
And I want to thank them and all our other law enforcement officers for responding and doing their best to try to save some of my friends. I have a very close friend that didn't make it today. And I have another close friend who didn't either, and one who's at the hospital that I hope is going to make it through.
Federal authorities say this is being investigated as workplace violence.
The suspect has been identified as Connor Sturgeon, white male, 23 years of age, who was employed at Old National Bank. His weapon of choice was a rifle.
While police search for answers.
Our community will continue to come together. We will find ways to love and support one another and the families and friends who have been directly impacted by these acts of gun violence.
A call for unity in a time of grief. Dan Shinneman, NBC News.
Switching gears, giving you a live look outside. Just beautiful blue skies. This is Horsetooth Reservoir. I mean, what a day. We knew this week was coming, but it's starting off pretty good, Kathy.
Makes a Monday easier.
It really does.
It does. And it actually feels like maybe, just maybe, the seasons have finally begun to change, right?
Finally shifted a little. So we like to hear.
I know. You guys, we're talking about summertime heat this week ahead of the next storm and chance for showers on Friday. But today was just glorious. Not a lot of wind, a lot of blue, a lot of sun. And we had temperatures in the mid-70s, beautiful in the high country, travel across the state, no issues. This hour, we've got 75 in Denver, 79 in Lamar, Springfield, 78 for Pueblo, 49 in Steamboat, and 73 degrees in Grand Junction. Winds are pretty light and haven't been a big factor for us, but that's going to be changing tomorrow. And so with an increase in the winds out of the south, fire danger is something we'll be talking about again. Critical fire weather conditions west and south of Denver through eastern Colorado into Nebraska and Kansas. Red flag warning today and tomorrow, and that's for relative humidity values at 9%. The areas in red, wind gusts to 40, maybe 60 miles per hour. Fire weather watch in kind of that light gray color there, and for mainly areas west and south of Denver. So we just need to be really careful between now and probably Thursday, as we're just going to see this warm, dry weather persist with high pressure anchored right over the top of us. Storm track is to the north. We're tracking the potential for severe weather here outside of Wichita and Dallas. The next system moving on shore in Portland and Seattle, dropping some heavy rain up in the Portland area this afternoon. And believe it or not, this is an avalanche advisory in and around the Salt Lake City area. So there are some areas that are dealing with some difficult weather, but not us for a change. We're in the upper 70s now. Downtown will drop about 10 degrees after sunset. And in Maine weather, we got a mild, calm evening. Record high temperatures possible tomorrow and Wednesday. Tracking a Friday storm. Will it be rain or snow for you? I'll answer that question and detail the extended forecast that's coming up.
In just under an hour, the DPS Board of Education is holding a special meeting and work session. They're expected to vote on whether to get rid of an innovative program at 2 schools in the district. Last month, Superintendent Alex Marrero recommended revoking the Innovation Zone status of Kepner Beacon and Grant Beacon middle schools. That zone gives schools more autonomy to better meet the needs of their students. Marrero says the zone just isn't providing enough academic progress and had some organizational health concerns. The school's leader says the recommendation to get rid of it threatens their unique model.
It impacts our autonomy and our flexibilities through the innovation schools. So is it a power move? It definitely looks that way.
Maganis says back in September, DPS told him that test scores would not be a factor in deciding school closures or programs, since the pandemic was a hard time for really all students and teachers. He also said they gave DPS more information to clarify the organizational health concerns.
The Justice Department is appealing a Texas court ruling that would stop approval of a drug used in the most common method of abortion in the U.S. The DOJ calls that decision extraordinary and unprecedented. If allowed to stand, the order issued last week would restrict access to the medication, and that's creating a national controversy. NBC's Alice Barr explains the debate.
A standoff this week over abortion, yet again dividing the country. Democratic lawmakers introducing legislation today to protect access to the abortion pill.
It is our obligation to stand up to this most recent assault on our reproductive rights.
Though it's sure to fail in a Republican-controlled House.
I think it's important that we protect the sanctity of life. I believe in state rights.
The political fight follows a ruling from a federal judge in Texas, invalidating the FDA's nationwide approval of mifepristone after more than 20 years as the most widely used abortion method in the country. The pill is still available for now. The judge put his own ruling on hold for a week while the Biden administration appeals.
If the decision stands, it will put women's health at risk and undermine the FDA's ability to ensure patients have access to safe and effective medications when they need them the most.
At the same time, another federal judge in Washington state ordered the FDA to keep mifepristone on the shelves. But that decision only applies to the 17 blue states in Washington, D.C. that sued over it.
It's about making sure you determine when you want to start a family, not some bureaucrat, not some judge does that.
Now, with the abortion pill debate likely destined for the same conservative-leaning Supreme Court that overturned the federal right to an abortion, the nation may be headed for a reboot on the hotly contested fight over reproductive rights, just as the 2024 race for the White House heats up. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
A teenager is in the ICU with a serious brain injury after a mountain bike crash in the Clear Creek County.
The crash happened on a mountain biking only trail, but the teen's dad says he saw hikers just before he saw his son lying on the ground. He spoke to 9 News reporter Katie Eastman to let people know how serious ignoring the rules can be.
On Floyd Hill in Evergreen, there are a few trails to take. Decisions should be made based on how you're using the trails.
Black Trail is mountain bike only. It's only downhill as well.
Jesse Loving hikes and bikes. And as a hiker, he would never risk walking on the sluice.
Well, there's really no chance you could stop as a mountain biker on some of those trails. Really kind of a very technical trail. Wouldn't want to encounter anybody, cause any accidents.
On Saturday, 17-year-old Cale Holmgren was biking down the sluice. His dad was just behind him.
Let me see if I can find a bike photo, but...
Now, Ryan Holmgren stands outside St. Anthony's Hospital as his son recovers from a brain injury.
2 days ago, my son was on a mountain bike only, downhill only trail on Floyd Hill and came around a corner at high speed. 2 people were standing on the trail, and I suspect in the event of trying to avoid them, crashed.
Holmgren says one of those people called 911 and then they left. Clear Creek County paramedics responded.
It's just helpless, and he had a lot of aspirations for college recruitment, for biking, and maybe even the professional level at some point. And he had his first major national race coming up this weekend, and he hasn't even, he can't comprehend the gravity of this may not be in his cards anymore for him.
Brian hopes to find those 2 people who were on the trail to ask them what they saw. And he hopes this story makes others aware of which trails they should be on.
And it's not just one-sided, There's bikers on hiker-only days, but I mean, it's something we got to respect our each other's boundaries and those rules.
And it's not an ego thing, or it's not like, being rude or anything, but it's, it's a safety concerns.
Brian told us his son is much better today. He's able to talk and even went on a small walk, but he doesn't know what things will look like long term. It's so hard to know with brain injuries.
Yeah, brain injuries, they're unpredictable on how the brain heals. But you bring up this at a really important time because it's nice out.
Yes, everyone wants to get out.
People are getting outside, and it's just like, pay attention.
Yeah, you have to do it in a safe way. It's not about us versus them. It's just about being safe.
Yeah, and good you're bringing attention to it because it can be confusing, especially this trail. Like, it's close to Denver, it's a leisurely hike, so many families are there, and like, what trail is what, right? Like, it can be confusing.
Look it up before you head out,
so
there's not even a question when you get to that trailhead.
Yeah, and he pointed that out, Dad, so he knows too that it can be both ways.
It's both ways.
So thank goodness. Well, we wish him good healing thoughts, and hopefully he gets some good news soon.
We hope so.
Katie.